Oh, no. Okay.
God damn it. What if you do this now?
Well, I didn't. It's fine. We're rolling with it. We got nothing to be ashamed of.
But it's working.
Yes, it's working.
Okay.
It's working! It's working!
And I immediately no longer have a boner. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Hard Reset, a Cold North production. I'm your host, Patrick the Law Morris. Joining me this week, we have the tenacious Tim Miller.
Hello.
Yep, I forgot to pause for you to say hi. That's my bad.
How dare you?
Coming up on Hard Reset in our little fireside chat. We call them fireside chats when it's just two of us. Coming up this week on Hard Reset, we'll be discussing a new rumor about the inclusion of both Spider-Men. A bloody Blue Point rumor, some Grand Theft Auto confirmations, and Grand Theft Auto got delayed. But before we get to all that, I do want to know what you've been playing. So, Tim, tell me what you've been playing this week.
I'm guessing you can already figure out what I've been playing this week, but
I want to hear about it.
But for our listeners, I have been playing Metroid Dread, and it is astounding. Absolutely amazing. I have enjoyed every second of it.
Okay, so I didn't doubt that you would, because you are the guy that had a 2DS. You replaced your old 3DS. Did you have a 3DS or a 3DS XL originally?
It was a 3DS.
And then you replaced that with a 2DS XL.
Yep.
And then
immediately replaced it.
Yeah, like just such a quick turnaround. You replaced your 3DS XL or your 2DS XL with the special edition Metroid 2DS or 3DS XL.
Yep.
So give me the whole rundown. How are you feeling about this game? How does it stack up? What do you like? What do you not like?
So I think it stacks up very well. Like for a 2D entry in the series, I think it did a very good job. It's huge. The game is gigantic. It's bigger than any Metroid game before it. And that is a huge plus.
Okay.
I will say the feeling of dread definitely does set in very early on when you see that you were very helpless and powerless against a good chunk of enemies early on in the game.
And that's sort of a Metroid thing, though.
It is, but it's even more like accentuated in this one.
Okay.
Just because there are things like in most of the ones, yeah, you could shoot at it and nothing would die. No, not in this.
Okay.
You're kind of out of luck in some cases.
So what was real quick? I don't mean to interrupt, but what was the story justification for why they took away all of Samus's powers?
Basically, you go down to the middle of the planet, you find this guy, you fight him, you get absolutely fucked up, and then you black out and wake up with none of your powers.
Oh, okay. So robbery.
Essentially.
All right. So I mean, obviously you're enjoying it. It's a gigantic game.
Oh, I've already beaten it.
You've beaten it.
I've beaten it. I have 100% normal mode already.
How long did it take you?
So, the game itself took in-game hours, took about 6 hours to just beat.
Okay.
About 10 hours of playtime, and then about another 5 hours to 100%.
Oh, okay. So not like super long.
No, not really. You can push yourself through it in about a weekend. You want to give time to it. But then you get hard mode. You've also got multiple endings and beating it certain times.
Right. I mean,
I
just
have yet to do. So.
The regular Metroid rigmarole.
Yep. The good old replay value of it.
Okay. How does this one stack up?
I think I still prefer Fusion over it. I think that it's better than the original Metroid. I think it's better than Metroid 2.
Okay, and real quick, I just want to like contextualize for anyone listening and for myself, by the way. So this is the fifth game in like the original Metroid series. And of course, that's excluding spinoffs like Prime and whatnot. But 1 was just called Metroid.
Yep.
2 was The Return of
Metroid
Samus.
2.
And then 3 was Super Metroid. 4 was Fusion.
Yep.
And then 1 was also remade as Zero Mission. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I forget about that one a lot of the time, though.
So you don't think that this one is as good as Fusion?
No, I think Fusion is better, but that's also probably coming from a place of nostalgia.
Okay.
Not necessarily that. I'm also trying not to ride the hype of, I just beat this game out. Oh, it's the greatest thing ever. Trying to look at it objectively.
Right. Trying to correct for recency bias.
Yep. But that said, I did love it. The final boss was one of the best final bosses I've fought in a long time in a video game.
I heard the final boss was wicked hard.
It wasn't that bad. It took me 2 tries.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it took me 2 tries.
Well, look at Tim. Hot shit.
Yeah, I'm not good at these games. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And they kept the counter system from Samus Returns.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, contextualizing for listeners, Metroid 2, which was The Return of Samus, originally released on the Game Boy back in like 1991 or something like that, and then was remade in, what was it, 2018? Or was it 2019?
It would have been 2017, I think. Fall of 2017.
Oh, yeah, it must have been. So in 2017, it was remade as Samus Returns, which honestly is a better title than Return of Samus. But and this one, so this one is made by the same developer, right?
Correct. Yep.
Do you think that they'll stick around?
I hope they do. I think they did a fantastic job with this, and if Nintendo knows what's good for them, then definitely will keep them around. Especially given how sales have gone, how rave reviews this game has gotten. People want more Metroid after this. This was absolutely astounding. The ending itself, just makes you all right, I kind of need more of this now. I'm not gonna give anything away, but pretty good lore stuff happened this game that was needed to expand the universe. Really nice.
And so lore stuff to expand the universe happened, but do you think, because this has kind of been touted for, because this game was announced 16 years ago? I don't remember. They announced Metroid Dread a long time ago, but it's just been, kind of excuse me, they kind of gotten started and then canceled and started and canceled several times. So this game has been touted as this is the end of this story. This is the end of Samus's story. Do you think that they're going to continue in the same universe? And if they do, are they going to bring back Samus? Are they going to do another character? Are they going to do another story for Samus that doesn't have anything to do with Metroids?
I mean, I have a feeling that they could easily continue with the storyline that they've built out of this one. You could definitely see it as an end of the series if you wanted to, but there was enough open end for them to continue with it if they ever decide to.
Okay.
I don't think they'll ever do another character. They learned how bad making a Metroid game is
Federation
without Samus
Force.
With Federation Force. Yep.
Yeah.
They learned their mistake with that one. But yeah, I mean, I could see them doing more, it may be a different timeline or some kind of other thing like they do with Zelda.
Okay.
But there's definitely enough there still to continue on, I'd think.
Okay. So at this point, you do fully expect another Metroid game.
Yeah, I do. I don't. Probably within the next 3-4 years, honestly.
Really, that quickly?
Yeah. I mean, you saw that's about the turnaround we saw from Metroid Returns to now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metroid Returns. Samus Returns, that one.
Okay, so quick question for you, and this is going to seem off topic, but I promise it's not. Have you seen No Time to Die yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, then I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
Okay.
So this is interesting. Do you think that, Prime 4 infamously has where the hell is it? Right. It's it's stuck in development hell right now, at least as far as we know. And Prime 4 was actually technically announced before Samus Returns. And now we've gotten, since the announcement of Prime 4, we've gotten 2 new 2D Metroid games. Do you think that we'll get a third? Or do you think that the next thing we'll see from the franchise will be Prime 4?
I hope it's Prime 4. I hope we don't see another Metroid game in that time frame before Nintendo's just like, nah, we're not making more. Like, I hope we fully hear from Nintendo on how much, or sort of say when we're going to be getting Prime 4.
I mean, I feel like we have to. We have to.
So, like, it was announced before Samus Returns came out. 2 years go by. Whole thing scrapped, given to a new developer. It's been about 2.5 years since that point.
Right.
I hope.
By the way, I don't want to cut you off, but it was actually technically announced before Samus Returns was even announced. Samus Returns was announced like hours after Prime 4 was announced. But anyways, you hope.
Fair enough.
So,
but yeah, like I hope we hear something within the next year about Prime 4. I really do. Like, I hope we see something at E3.
I feel like we have to.
If we don't at this point, then in my mind, that game is dead.
Yeah. I mean, if we make it, and like, we're still more than a year away from that point. I personally feel like, but if we make it through 2022 and we don't hear a peep about Metroid Prime 4, I think that game is dead.
Yep. I'm kind of with you there on that.
And like, I'm not saying, I hope this happens, because obviously I don't hope that happens. I'm not even saying, like, I think that it'll never come out, because maybe it'll be like Metroid Dread, where, it takes a while, but eventually it happens.
Yep.
But like, I think we make it through 2022 for the time being, and we don't hear about it at all. I think that then for the time being, it's dead.
100% agree. Now, okay. I got to ask you the same question. What the fuck have you been playing this week?
So I was playing, I played Far Cry 6 for review recently, and that game was good, not great. It was fun, and it made me really thirsty for Far Cry. And so I downloaded Far Cry 5. Well, actually, I downloaded Far Cry 2, Far Cry 3, and Far Cry 4, and Far Cry 5. I downloaded 1 through 5. I've dipped my toe in a little bit of each of them, just to kind of familiarize myself, because I've been doing a lot of coverage on Far Cry recently, and but mostly I've been playing Far Cry 5. Granted, I've only probably played like 5 or so hours of Far Cry 5, just because my thumb is still messed up, and I don't get to see the doctor until next week, and so I haven't been playing much. But I went back to Far Cry 5. Man, in my rankings, so I wrote an article ranking the Far Cry games, the mainline entries, and like, I didn't want to piss people off, so I put 3 at the top, but holy shit, I think 5 is my favorite. But I know that that's not a popular opinion.
It's a very misguided one, but no, I will let you have it.
It's so good. It's such a good game. I love Far Cry 5, and I am excited to play more of it once my thumb is fixed. I'm actually thinking that I'm going to stream that, because I got a fancy new microphone for any listeners out there who listen to us regularly, which there's not a whole lot of you. You seem to all be in Finland and Sweden, but if you're listening, if you're listening, thanks for listening. You might have noticed Tim and I have both recently gotten fancy new broadcast microphones. So I'm gonna use that as an excuse to force myself to start streaming regularly, and I think that the first thing I'm going to be doing is going to be Far Cry 5. That being said, Tim, I want you to do the same, because you said you were, and I want to see Metroid
I have
Dread.
Been.
Oh, you have?
I streamed all of Metroid Dread.
Oh my god,
my
are you going to be
entire
streaming
playthrough.
more?
I was gonna do some tonight, but I don't know at
Please.
this point now.
No, do it. We'll wrap this up quick. We'll just wrap this up.
My buddy
we'll
wants to play Back for Blood, and I don't think I want to stream that. So
no, I don't give a shit about your buddy or Back for Blood. I want to watch you play Metroid Dread.
Just go to my channel and watch the whole playthrough then.
No, I want to be able to interact with you. Here's the thing. I'm big dumb, and so I'm too dumb to play Metroid games on my own because I just get stuck very early in the game. Like, honestly, embarrassingly early in the games, I get
What was
stuck.
the last Metroid game you played?
I tried to do Samus Returns, and I tried it like 3 different times, and it was just a disaster all 3 times. And even the 3rd time I was like, okay, because I did finish Super Metroid, but I did the entire thing with a guide. And like I did a guide, not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play until I get stuck and then I'm gonna look at a guide. I did a guide of like, okay, I'm gonna read 1 paragraph to see what my next 30 seconds are gonna be, and then I'm gonna go do it, and then I'm gonna come back to the next paragraph. And that wasn't super great, but like I said,
see, that's why you're soured on the experience, because you didn't do it for yourself. You didn't learn anything.
I can't do it myself. I tried to do it. I tried Metroid Samus Returns twice, failed twice. Then I was like, okay, I used a guide on Super Metroid and I finished Super Metroid. And then I tried to do it with a guide the way I did Super Metroid, and I tanked. I couldn't do it. So I'm just a mess.
To be fair, Samus Returns is really, really, really hard.
Yeah, see? How am I supposed to play hard games?
Get good. Sucker.
Yeah, I guess I should. I also shouldn't be saying, oh yeah, I played Far Cry 6 for review. How am I supposed to play hard games? Like, that's not giving myself a whole lot of credibility.
Because Far Cry 6 isn't a hard game. Got it.
Yeah, Far Cry 6 is...
Now I know.
That's actually one of my biggest complaints about the game, is it is too easy. And like the levels scale with you. So each province is like has a level set to it. So like when you're a level 4 or whatever, the end game provinces are going to be like, level like 8 or 9. And then, but as you progress through the story, it's like, oh, they deployed more forces, and then every province level goes up. And so I think the way to make that game the hardest is to mainline the story so that you're not leveling up a ton and the entire world is leveling up faster than you are, and then go play all the side content, because then by the time you're doing that, you will be out leveled when you're playing the side content, and that's going to make it more fun.
Fair enough. Good advice. I will take that to heart if I ever get around to playing it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's going to go on sale within the next few months, and honestly,
yeah, I mean, I'll probably get it free on some kind of platform eventually.
Yeah, I bet you'll get it like on EGS or Games with Gold, or it might even make an appearance on Game Pass, or maybe even PS Plus. Like, it'll be somewhere within the next 18 months for free, I bet.
Yep. So I'll just keep my eye out for it.
Yeah. And when you do, it's a fun game. Like, I would say, for anyone listening, are you thinking, oh yeah, should I spend $60 on it? The answer is yes. It's worth $60. It's fun. It's a bad story. Be prepared for that. But it's Far Cry fun. If you like Far Cry, go play it. Okay. Well, that's going to take us straight to the news at now.
The news show. It's the news show. We are now a news show.
We have some news.
I'd love to hear it. I have no idea what the news is.
Okay, so
lay it on me.
The news. Spider-Man 2. There's a rumor about Spider-Man 2. So some new information supposedly leaked onto Reddit, which I don't know. I'm going to talk about the credibility of this leak after I just run through it real quick. But the leak reads, quote, Throughout the game, players will have their choice of playing as either Peter Parker or Miles Morales, giving the opportunity to use both heroes' unique skill sets in battle. Whether you want to use Peter's new Doc Ock-inspired arms or blast bad guys with Miles' Venom Strike, both will be available to use in battle. And then later on it says, whichever character isn't in use will still be included in missions as well, tagging alongside the main Spidey and serving as backup support controlled by the AI. Now, before I go in on what I think of this, Tim, I want to hear your take on this. What do you think of this leak? What do you think of the credibility? What do you think of, the potential of this being real? Like, if this were a real thing, what would you think of it? Just give me your thoughts.
All right. So first off, credibility. It was posted to Reddit. I don't trust shit at all on it. Like, this
agree.
is great, cool pipe dream, but no, not until you give me like an actual credible source with a name.
I agree, and I actually, as long as we're attacking credibility first of all, so they say the Doc Ock inspired like arms, those were in the first game. Like, yeah, that's not a super special thing. That's not a new thing. They were in the first game. Play through the first game, unlock the suits. They're in the first game.
You'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then also, Spider-Man 2018, honestly, at the end made me cry. And it was very, very well written. Insomniac, I think, is the crown jewel of Sony's first party lineup. There is literally zero chance they would write a story in which they don't get to utilize two of their main characters because they're shackled to each other, right? Like, there are going to be story beats that involve, Miles is over here doing this, Peter is over here doing this. They cannot shackle them together, and by giving the player the option to choose, that's going to effectively shackle them at the ankle, and they're going to be they're going to be neutered from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that standpoint. I mean, if you've played through one. Most people have played through one if they've wanted to at this point. Like, there were multiple sections where you either played as Peter or you played as Miles or you played as Mary Jane, like, at these different points in the game. And yeah, other characters would show up during said times, but like, they were still all doing their own thing, living their own lives.
Yeah.
I get that, they're a superhero team. They've been like working together, yada, 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 but you can't put them together for the entirety of the game and expect something to come out fantastic.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I do fully expect there to be sections similar to like in the first game where it's like, oh, okay, go, now you're playing as Mary Jane. Okay, now you're playing as Miles. Except in this one, it's going to be like, okay, now you're playing as Miles, and like, you're playing as Miles, and it's going to be a little bit of a lengthy section. There's going to be a lot more action to it. They're not going to be constrained the way they were in the first game, at least when they switched to Miles.
You're not going to sneak around. You're actually going to be able to, fight because you're now Spider-Man.
And honestly, I also expect maybe you're going to play as Venom, right?
Yeah, very possible.
Because when they made the announcement and like the Spider-Man 2, like the title card, it was so like Spider-Man 2018, the title card was like, the text was like it was evocative of Spider-Man's colors, right? And then Miles Morales, the text was evocative of, it was themed after Miles's colors. And if you look at the text for Spider-Man 2, the text is like the colored theming is after Venom. And so I think that not only are you going to be able to play as Miles, you're also going to be able to play as Venom.
There's no doubt in my mind that you'll be able to play as Miles at some point.
Right, exactly.
Venom, I think, would be pretty awesome. I'm not going to 100% lean into it, but as the anti-hero, it is very possible that he will be an integral part of the story, and you'll be able to just, beat the ever-loving shit out of people without caring.
Exactly. And I mean, also Venom, like the idea of making Venom a playable character, it does kind of go in line with like, you know, Miles was the new playable character in the second game, and now Venom would be the new playable character in the third game, which again takes me back to my initial complaint of like, I don't like that they called this game Spider-Man 2 because it's the third game in the series.
Yeah.
But that's kind of neither here nor there. But like, it would also open the game up to introducing Venom specific enemies, like Venom specific villains, like Carnage, right?
Yep.
And like, I'm not saying bring Carnage in right away, but eventually this series has to bring Carnage in.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're gonna bring Venom in, you kind of have to bring Carnage in eventually. Like,
exactly. And I kind of feel like after Spider-Man 2, like the ones like obviously Venom was going to be coming. After Spider-Man 2, I kind of feel like the short list would be like Spider-Gwen, and like she's got to be at the top of the short list for me, and like maybe Black Cat.
Black Cat would be nice to see.
Yeah. And I mean, Black Cat's already been in the series, so like make her a playable character.
Yep.
So I think that there may be some truth to this leak to kind of bring us back to we got sidetracked a little bit.
Well, that's just happened. So,
but I think there may be some truth to this leak. I don't think that it's going to be nearly as rigid as this leak suggests.
Yeah, this one.
Like first of all, I don't think this is a leak. I think that this is just a kid speculating like we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good word to use for this, but give me a second to collect my thoughts.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'm just gonna riff a little bit.
Go for it.
Kind of thinking of, you know, other playable characters in other ways. Like this could be the introduction of Spider-Gwen. Like I wouldn't be surprised if because the post-credit scene in Spider-Man 2018 was obviously alluding to Venom. And now I wouldn't be surprised if the post-credit scene in this one alludes to Spider-Gwen or maybe Carnage. Those two would be the ones that I kind of would put bets on. So I don't know. I don't think that this is a leak per se. I think that this is just some kid writing shit. And we see that happen all the time. Like Scott the Woz created a Yoshi themed 3DS that just for whatever reason caught some traction and like he made it in Photoshop, caught some traction, and then the next time he was seeing it, it was on IGN. And it's just like this stuff does happen. So I personally just don't think that this is legitimate at all. Like zero legitimacy, especially something that major, like a gameplay mechanic that major leaking this early. It just doesn't feel real.
Yeah, I'm reading through a little bit of this article that you sent me, and like this one part like has caught me a little bit, and I'm just like this sounds like a like a pipe dream or a fan fiction. Peter is said to gain possession of an Oscorp developed Venom suit early in the game, gaining 4 extra arms on his back in the process. After losing said suit, he goes full scientist to build robotic ones like Doc Ock. That's something doesn't sound right there. See, I don't know about that.
Like, and that just goes to show, like, I don't know, that just kind of further leans into my point of like, those arms were in the first game. They are not some super new awesome thing. I mean, they are awesome, like, don't get me wrong, but like oh geez, okay, I'm gonna mute that real quick. So I'm pulling up the trailer. If you're listening to the podcast, you will have heard it. Wait, is this DLC?
No, it's not this time.
Yeah, so these just look like a modified version of the Iron Spider suit.
Yep.
Like, and granted, it looks like they maybe have more joints, but like that shit happens all the time in video games. Like, oh, you know, and movies too. Like they make small changes, and it's like that happens all the time. To me, these are the Iron Spider arms until proven otherwise.
Yep, I agree. The entirety of this feels like someone was writing a fan fiction and was like, all right, I'm going to add it to the game and we're going to put it out as a leak and see what happens.
Exactly. And like it's just a very like someone being smart. And I mean, there was a Twitter account recently by a YouTube comedian named Vito Gesualdi, and this, I am like getting to a point here, but Vito Gesualdi, and he tweeted, or he set up a Twitter account, I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically about like he was writing fake news articles, and his entire goal was like, okay, what can I write that is just the single biggest like confirmation bias thing that I can think of, and then I'm just going to put it out there and see, like, you know, see how people feel about it, see if it, you know, see if people are discerning enough to just to even just read the simplest things. And so like in the description, and I'm desperately trying to find the name of this Twitter account, but in the like bio, in the description, he writes, literally one of the bullet points is, it's parody. And like people are getting so fucking pissed off about this Twitter account and this you know, quote unquote news network. And it's just a matter of like, it's so easy to do, because like you can literally just write it's parody and then just put it in front of people. People only read the headlines these days, and look at what happens. And so I strongly suspect that that's what has happened here. Yeah. So he does a video called I invented a fake Olympic athlete and she went viral. I
think I remember seeing something about that.
It's called Victory News Network, VNN. And like in the logo, he even like put an American flag, and it's just so fucking stupid. But like people will believe anything if they want that to be true. And I mean,
if they want it hard enough, absolutely.
Exactly. And like, I mean, obviously I want to be able to play as Miles in this game. So, you know, I think that a lot of people are just believing something that's not real, believing something that some kid made up. So yep. I think we're in the same camp on that. Moving on, a former IGN personality named Colin Moriarty, which gonna just throw this out there. What was done to Colin, I don't agree with. Colin has been a pretty reputable source and continues to be a reputable source. So where the last one I don't think was true, this one I actually do not really have any trouble believing. So, Colin Moriarty, he's still working in the industry. He no longer works for IGN. And he's reported that he has it on good authority that there is a Bloodborne project in the works at Bluepoint Games. Now, if you'll remember, recently Sony acquired Bluepoint Games, and they're the newest like in-house first-party studio. His tweet reads, quote, "I'm hearing through the grapevine Bluepoint may be on a journey to Yharnam," end quote. So Yharnam obviously being the fictional land of Bloodborne. Now, you are, like we were discussing last week, you're a big Soulsborne guy. You played Demon's Souls, which was also a Bluepoint game. A Bluepoint remake of a FromSoft game. What do you think this is? Do you think that this is going to be another remake? Are they remaking Bloodborne? Are they remastering Bloodborne? Or do you think that possibly Sony is trusting Bluepoint with a full-on Bloodborne sequel this early.
So, Pipe Dream would love to see Bloodborne sequel. Not exactly sure if that's the way they're going with this, though. Considering how well they did, like, on the remake, remaster of Demon Souls, I could easily see them be giving that same treatment to Bloodborne, as it's one of, like, a fan favorite of the series.
Yeah.
But, I could also see them being in charge of the next one, because they did such a good job on the Demon Souls remake that Sony's like, yeah, all right, you've proven yourselves. Go right ahead.
Right. And I mean, Bloodborne being a PlayStation exclusive, I think that a huge part of like, I think that a huge part of what Sony has like established as kind of their identity is they have tied themselves to those Soulsborne games in a lot of people's minds. And I think that with Microsoft being on a shopping spree, Sony's worried, honestly, that Microsoft is going to go buy FromSoft, and then what's going to happen? Because I think that would be a huge blow to Sony's, momentum and Sony's repertoire. Yep. And so I think that Sony may be looking to kind of build and cultivate their own like in-house FromSoft type studio, and they're doing that with Bluepoint.
Yeah, I could easily see that happening. God, I had another thought and I just lost it. I'm not on point today. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. It happens to all of us. I think that this is a remake. I think that a remaster wouldn't be enough practice to move Bluepoint towards that end goal of what I think Sony is doing with them. But I think it's too soon for a sequel. I think this is a remake of Bloodborne, and I think that it's going to look fucking incredible.
If that's the case, then yeah, hey, I'm down to play it again. It's probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite, in like the Soulsborne type games.
It's a lot of people's favorite.
Just because the atmosphere is so beautiful. The combat is really fun. Performing viscerals and just absolutely obliterating your enemy. Just so worth it.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of people's favorite in the Soulsborne series. It's a beloved game. Not only has it not gotten a PS5 patch yet, Bloodborne never even got a PS4 Pro patch.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a remake. I think that they're going to continue to be like, okay, sharpen that blade because we need to have it ready. And then we'll kind of see what happens. We'll see, I do think that Bluepoint is going to be that studio for Sony.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, especially considering FromSoft's been working on Elden Ring, so they haven't really had much time for Bloodborne.
Yeah,
in and of itself. So, like, I could easily see Sony being like, "Hey, we'll give it to these guys. We'll take care of it, and we'll see where it goes from there."
Yeah, and also I think FromSoft has matured to the point that like where they used to be a studio that it was like, okay, you can hand us a big bag of money and we'll make you an exclusive game. I think that they are of the caliber now. I think that they're like, they have the prestige now that it's like, because Bloodborne was 6 years ago. And so yeah. I think they finally have the prestige that it's just like, yeah, I mean, we're all getting old.
Yeah.
They finally have the prestige that they could potentially say, no, we're like, you can't just give us that big bag of money for an exclusive game. If you're going to give us that big bag of money, it better be like, you better be backing up the Brinks truck and buying the company if you want our stuff to be exclusive. And like, Microsoft has that money, Sony doesn't.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see if anything comes out of that. But regardless, whatever we get out of it, whether it is Bloodborne, like remade, remastered, or if it's like Bloodborne 2, I'll be happy either way.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And I mean, hats off to Bluepoint, because every single thing they've done has been aces. Like,
Yeah, been fantastic lately.
the Shadow of the Colossus remake was incredible.
Very well done. I still haven't finished that, but I'm also really bad at that game. And I'm not even jokingly. That's like a game I struggle with.
Oh, really? I loved
Yeah.
that game. I thought that game was so great.
I can't figure out where to go. Like, I'll follow the line, but it's like, all right, I can't go anywhere. There's a wall here.
Oh man, I struggled
really bad.
with that like one time, but okay, so you're making me feel good because that game was like one solid afternoon for me.
Yep.
I loved the Shadow of the Colossus, and you know what? Hats off to him. I think that Demon's Souls is still almost a year out. I think Demon's Souls is still the prettiest thing on next gen. Like, maybe that's the best looking game I've ever seen.
I think Returnal looks a little bit better, but that's just
Really?
me and personal preference from playing it. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I still won't play it because I'm so
You're
bad at
games. We get it.
so bad at Soulsborne games, but and I've tried them. Man, I'm just bad at them. I don't have the patience. So
That's fair.
like Ghost of
They're
Tsushima,
a lot.
Ghost of Tsushima and Jedi Fallen Order is about as patient as you can demand that I be with regard to parrying. So,
Yep.
like I put maybe 20 hours into Sekiro, and like I didn't beat the first boss.
The guy on the horse?
I got to him. Oh,
Okay.
wait. No, I did beat him.
Okay.
I beat him and that was it. And like,
All right.
then there's that flashback moment,
Yep.
and that's where I was stuck. Couldn't do it.
Fair enough.
But that ogre was fucking tough.
So I had a lot of trouble with that ogre when I first played Sekiro, to the point where I put it down for 2 years before picking it up like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that ogre is tough.
It was more of a I'm not understanding how this game works and not a this is tough kind of thing for me.
I think that for me, what made him so difficult was like it's such a constrained space and he's such a large enemy.
Yep. You just gotta pull him back. You just gotta pull him back through the gate, fight him in that little area there. Yeah.
Oh,
makes it so much easier.
See,
so he doesn't throw you off the edge randomly.
Well, he threw me off the edge, and one time, and I was actually streaming when it happened, he threw me off the edge, and I did the grapple, and I pulled myself back, and I was like, oh, you thought I was done, bitch. I actually think that was the time I beat him too, so felt very satisfying. Nice. Okay, so as if someone at Rockstar was listening to the show last week, and they were like, yep, we're going to make these guys look like the biggest assholes. Grand Theft Auto Trilogy.
Literally the next day it was fucking announced.
I mean, it was less. I want to say it was like 12 hours later.
Yeah, it was not long at all.
Like 12 hours after I said, this could just end up being something that never happens. I won't be surprised at all. They're like, yeah, it's real.
I was pretty adamant that it existed, if I remember correctly.
I mean, both you and Nathan were like, yeah, that's, and I was like, I mean, maybe, but like, and I was wrong. Absolutely, I was wrong. I stand by what I say about Rockstar.
That's all I wanted to hear.
I stand by what I said about Rockstar, though. There's so much shit that we hear about Rockstar that it's just like, maybe that's real, but like,
there's a very good chance it ain't.
It could also, there's a good chance that it's not, but also, even if it's real, there's a very good chance that it will just die before it's ever official.
Yep.
But here we are. They announced it the next day. I wrote down the name because it's absurd. It's going to be called, and this is the official name that's going to be on the box, Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. That's just too much.
Why? Why do you need to be the Trilogy and the Definitive Edition? Just make it the Trilogy and we get it.
They have never called it the Trilogy before. It's just, So just call it the trilogy and move on. Like,
Yep.
it can't possibly, I mean, I guess it is the definitive edition of the trilogy only because, like, that's by default, because it's the only time you have ever called it the trilogy. So it's a dumb name.
It reminds me of like the Street Fighter 2 like Ultimate Turbo whatever edition. It's very reminiscent of that, so it makes me laugh a little bit.
Yeah, there are like 30 versions of Street Fighter 2 at this point.
Yeah, something like that.
It's absurd. So the Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition is out on December 7th, I believe. Same day as Halo, which seems odd, but I was actually honestly kind of surprised that they didn't hit the October 22nd date, because October 22nd is the 20th anniversary of Grand Theft Auto 3.
Probably had some back end stuff that they just couldn't get done in time. Or some like glitches that popped up at the last minute.
That's kind of what I thought was bug squashing.
Yep.
So it's launching December 7th for $70 on next gen consoles. Well, current gen. And then it'll be $60 on last gen and Switch. Where are you going to buy this?
Honestly, I was thinking buying it on Switch just because
portability,
a little bit less money, portability. I can go play GTA anywhere now.
Yep.
But also the other part of me was like, I'd rather just play it on like PC or like a really nice console. Like if I like am gonna spend the actual time to play through all of these, I'm gonna want to do it like on probably my best hardware, which would be either my Series X or my PS5. So
I mean, it would be your Series X, like
most likely.
I have no qualms.
That's where I played
PS5, but Series X is more powerful.
Yeah, I mean that's where I played GTA 3 on Xbox. I never finished it because I was always at a friend's house when I played it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, but like it started on Xbox, so I might as well finish it there.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
I'm having the same difficulty, and I talked to Ben a little bit too, and he's also having the same, kind of conundrum of like, God, the prospect of having these games on Switch is huge, but I want them to look great, and I want, like, I feel like it would be foolish to not play these games on my Series X. But I want them to be really portable. So I think that I'll buy on Series X first. And then I think that, later on down the line, I will buy them on Switch as well.
That's probably what's going to end up happening for me, because my biggest concern is just frame rate on the Switch and all that stuff in handheld mode, because that's how I would be playing it. If it's not running well on handheld mode and only runs well when it's docked, then I might be passing on it for that. So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, then also there is the fact that like, so it's coming to Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Switch on December 7th. It's coming to mobile, iOS and Android next year. Which
that's interesting.
That kind of gave me pause, because I was like, oh, how much better are these games really going to look if they're going to be able to run on mobile?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I should feel that way about the Switch by default. Like, the Switch is less powerful than my iPhone 13, but like...
Yeah, but your iPhone 13 isn't specifically designed to play games.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to wait for the reviews to come out, at least for the Switch version, just to make sure that it runs correctly and properly.
Yeah, because I mean, it could be a pile of hot garbage on Switch exclusively and run great on Xbox. So
yeah, I mean, we've honestly seen it in the past few months with games that released on that as well. Sonic Colors specifically comes to mind.
Yeah, you had a lot of trouble with Sonic Colors.
I had a ton of trouble with it, that to the point where I bought it again on Xbox just so I could play it.
Yeah.
So
it's a shame, and like, the gap, especially since PS5 and Xbox came out, like the gap between the Switch and the other consoles has just widened significantly. And the Switch was already struggling to kind of hang in there. Honestly, like, I don't know. I'm torn on this, and you know what? It's actually a good thing to discuss this as well. So Kingdom Hearts was announced for Switch.
God, I'm pissed about this.
Yeah, so this one was like, it's incredible to me how little fanfare it got, because I didn't even know about it until it just showed up as a press release in my inbox, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess. Like,
yeah, they tacked it on at the end of the Smash reveal, and God, everyone was pissed. I don't know a single person who has seen this and has been like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Because guess what? It's the fucking cloud version.
Yeah, that's the problem. And
you're putting games that, while great, on a console that is mainly used for its portability, and locking these games in to having to be docked, having to be, well, not having to be docked, but having to
have an internet connection,
having to be Wi-Fi connected, and it's no, thank you. I'm going to be passing on this, absolutely, and I know a lot of people are, which is sad because these are great games, and anyone who hasn't played them probably should.
And they would be such a good fit for the Switch, because the Switch is in so many like little kid hands, right? And these games are like the perfect like gap of, you know, the perfect bridge of like, okay, we're going to bridge the gap between, you know, little kids' interest in Disney and little kids' interest in, you know, kind of hardcore video games. And I'm sorry, but like, I don't like to call anyone that does a job that I don't do, and I haven't ever done. I don't like to call them lazy, because I don't know what the job's like. There's so many ins and outs of every job that you don't really know until you've done the job. But to me, this just reeks of laziness, of like, because you know what? What's the most like graphically or like resource intensive game in the series? It's Kingdom Hearts 3. You cannot tell me that Kingdom Hearts 3 can run, that Doom Eternal can run on Switch, but Kingdom Hearts 3 cannot.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that myself. This just reeks of failure to me. And like, I get people want like to have games look great on the Switch. I get that people want to have games look great on the Switch, but it is underpowered compared to all of its competitors. And at the end of the day, you don't own the game.
Yeah,
you're never going to physically own that game or digitally. Like, you're playing it through a cloud. Once those servers go offline, boom, your money has been wasted. I hope you've played more than 3 hours instead of trying to get around to it and finishing it like you wanted to. Like, no, it's pointless.
Yeah. And I feel like these games could have run on the Switch. They should be running on the Switch. And, you know, the only reason to not have them running on the Switch is just, you're just trying to, it's a quick cash grab. And like, I don't know, that kind of, it just smacks of
it's sloppy
to me. Yeah.
It's sloppy at the end of the day.
Yeah. I agree. I don't exactly remember how we were relating that to Grand Theft Auto, but you know, whatever.
Tangents happen.
Yes. Okay. So earlier today, Ubisoft officially delayed Ghost Recon Frontline, the Ghost Recon Frontline beta that was supposed to be occurring pretty soon. I think it was like set for next week. So Ghost Recon Frontline, in case you haven't been following, is Ubisoft finally stepping into the whole battle royale arena, and it's not great. I think that this looks pretty bad. In a tweet, go ahead. No.
I did watch the trailer earlier this week, and earlier today actually, and I cringed.
Yeah,
I cringed. I was like, no, this is not what I want.
I mean, honestly, at least Ubisoft is solving the energy crisis in the world, because all we have to do is just hook it up to Tom Clancy spinning in his grave, because like what they've done with the Tom Clancy branding. So like now coming out soon, like the upcoming games for the Tom Clancy brand We have X Defiant. We have Rainbow Six, not Quarantine. What was that shitty Rainbow Six game that used to be called Quarantine?
Invasion? I don't know. It's the alien
The
one
alien
that's really
one.
dumb. The really dumb one.
Ghost Recon Frontline, aka Ghost Recon Battle Royale, aka Ghost Recon Loot Box Generator.
Yep.
And so so anyway, the game looks terrible. The trailer got ratioed pretty hard. It was like 18,000 dislikes compared to like 4,900 likes. So more than 3 times as many dislikes, which doesn't happen very often. It takes a lot to get ratioed like that. I actually earlier today reached out to Ubisoft for comment. Hey, like, do you have anything to say about this? And do you have anything to like? Is there any sort of reason why? I haven't heard back from them, so I
Probably
honestly, I don't expect to. And like Ubisoft has been pretty quick in their communications with me previously, but I don't expect to hear back from them on this. They announced it in a tweet that read, we've decided it is best to postpone the closed test for Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Frontline. The development team is dedicated to creating the best experience possible. We'll share details on the new date for the closed test as soon as we can. Thank you for your ongoing support. So to me, this says a whole lot of nothing. And I think that that's super intentional. I think that this is just them being super vague. They didn't announce another date. They didn't announce a reason why. They didn't say, like, I think that the game is going to get a major rework, and I think it's going to get a rework because of the reception of the original trailer.
Yep, I 100% agree. This feels like them backpedaling. They put something out there. It was universally not liked. And they're like, all right, we kind of going to have to do something about this.
We screwed the pooch. We need to go back to square one with this game.
Yep.
And like,
I don't know about square one, but
yeah,
definitely back a few squares.
Yeah, I mean, they're going back to formula. But like, I think that they're gonna I don't know. I think at Ubisoft right now, they're stripping this thing back down to the studs and gonna rebuild it. It'll still be fundamentally similar to what they originally intended, but like, it's gonna, that fundamental is going to be the skeleton, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything about it, like when I was watching, I was like, this just looks unfun. All right, got to go to these drones to get intel. Okay, got to defend them to get that intel. I don't know. The rest of it, it's just...
Well, and it's all first person, and it's all very action based. It's not like there's no stealth. It's not like... I just
feel so done with the Battle Royale genre also, so like just feels like you're coming in a little too late here.
I mean, way too late, because... Honestly, like, is Fortnite still printing money? Yes, but like,
not as much as they were. Not nearly as much as they were.
I kind of feel like the genre has really been taken over by Apex. I think Apex is, for lack of a better term, the apex predator in that space, and even Apex is tanking pretty hard right now.
Yeah, it's starting to go downhill, and this one doesn't look nearly as good as Apex does, so it's not going to compete in any form in that sense. Like you'll get few people that play it the first weekend, and then like maybe a few thousand that play it after that. But like as it stands right now, no, it's not going to compete. It's not going to make money. Yeah, Ubisoft, you're better off reworking. Glad they're taking the time to do so, but I still don't think they're going to get enough out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago of like, delay the game. Delay it as long as you need to. I'm down with that. I just want to reiterate what you said. I'm glad they're taking the time to rework it. That being said, if they do bring forward a battle royale type game, they're not going to dethrone Apex. They're not going to compete with Fortnite. And honestly, they're not even going to compete with Warzone. And like, Warzone is clinging on to relevance in that space right now. And like, that's not to say, oh, no one's playing Warzone. There are a lot of people playing Warzone, but compared to the numbers that Fortnite and Apex are getting, Warzone is barely relevant.
Yeah, well, When you spend most of your time in the gulag, it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
Get excited about it.
So I just don't think that this game is really going to take off at all, but whatever. Okay,
Too late.
Exactly. Before I close this out, were there any other random ass topics you wanted to cover?
Not that I can think of, at least not newsworthy this week.
Fair enough. It was a pretty slow news week. So we're just going to wrap it up there. That's all we've got for you guys tonight. If you liked what you heard in our little fireside chat, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can see everything we do all in one spot over at coldnorthpro.com. We'll be back next week talking about whatever happens in the next 7 days, except maybe the Animal Crossing thing, because my parents are coming into town and I might not be able to cover that. So until then, reset.
Wait, no trivia? I don't get to answer a random question?
You don't get to dunk on Nathan when Nathan isn't even here.
Not even like what color your boxers are or anything? All right, fine.
Okay.
I guess we're done.
All right.
Blue plaid. I don't know.
They're not. I think they have hearts on them today.
Nice.
Yeah. When I bought these boxers, I said, I don't think that I'm funny enough to wear boxers with hearts on them.